Selene Vex was the most feared warrior in the galaxy, not just for her victories, but for the grisly trophies she took from every opponent she defeated. No one challenged her twice. No one walked away whole. Then came the human, Marcus Kane, who stepped into the arena unarmed, stared in her bloodstained past, and did the one thing no one else had ever dared. He offered her mercy instead of war. And that changed everything. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The polished obsidian floors of the Grand Federation chamber reflected the shifting hues of alien delegates as Captain Elias Vance entered, his black and gold uniform standing in stark contrast to the vibrant silks and armors of the assembled species. At 38, his salt and pepper hair and calm gray eyes projected an air of quiet authority, but it was his perpetual smile that drew uneasy glances from the gathered dignitaries. The expression never wavered, not when the insectoid Zithian delegates clicked their mandibles in disapproval, nor when the hulking Draxian guards tightened their grips on plasma rifles. Ambassador Valis of the Zorati Collective adjusted her shimmering silver robes, her emerald skin darkening with unease as she leaned toward her aide. The human's facial expression doesn't match his bio readings, she whispered in their liquid tongue. Our scans show elevated stress markers, yet he smiles as though at a celebration. High Commander Crocs snorted, his crimson scales rippling along muscular shoulders. Primitive threat display. The Draxian rumbled, his clawed hand resting on his ceremonial blade. Like hatchlings baring teeth before a fight. Elias reached the speaker's podium and activated the holographic display with a tap of his wrist projector. A map of the Sol system appeared, its quarantine boundaries pulsing red. As I was explaining, his calm voice carried effortlessly through the chamber. The prohibition against entering human space isn't open for debate. His smile remained perfectly in place as the chamber erupted in protest. A thrumming vibration passed through the floor plates. Valis's neural implant pinged a warning as she noticed Elias's fingers tapping an odd rhythm against his wrist. 3 quick pulses, then 2 slow. The pattern repeated just as the massive viewport behind him darkened unnaturally, the stars seeming to freeze in place. Crocs surged to his feet, his armored boots cracking the obsidian. You dare dictate terms to the Federation? His forked tongue flicked out angrily. Your pitiful system holds nothing of value. Elias's smile didn't falter, but something changed in his gray eyes, a hardening like steel being tempered. Some doors remain closed for a reason, Commander. He tilted his head slightly, the motion almost predatory, usually to protect what's outside, not what's within. Valis's crest feather stiffened. There was something in his tone. She activated her implant's full scanning suite, capturing every micro-expression. Captain Vance, her voice cut through the growing chaos. If there's danger, shouldn't the Federation be informed? Elias turned that unsettling smile directly on her. Now, where would be the fun in that, Ambassador? Before she could respond, the chamber lights flickered violently. A deep hum vibrated through the floor plates. Elias's fingers completed their tapping sequence, just as every illumination source in the massive complex winked out simultaneously. In the sudden darkness, Valis's enhanced vision showed Elias remaining perfectly still at the podium, his smile now visible only through infrared, a ghostly curve of warmth in the freezing blackness. His voice, when it came, was calm as ever. I did try to warn you. Then the screaming started. Chapter 2. The emergency glow strips flickered to life, bathing the council chamber in an eerie blue pallor. Delegates scrambled in the dim light, their panicked chatter echoing through the vast space. Valis remained frozen, her emerald eyes locked on Captain Vance, the only figure who hadn't moved from the podium, his smile now illuminated by the pulsing glow. Crocs's gravelly roar cut through the chaos as he drew his ceremonial plasma blade. The weapon's orange glow reflected off his scarred, reptilian face. Human treachery, he bellowed. leveling the weapon at Elias. "I'll carve that grin off your face." Elias didn't flinch. He simply adjusted his cufflinks, the silver eagle insignia on his uniform catching the dim light. "No te reaceri, commander." Just a demonstration. His gray eyes flicked to a point just over Crocs' shoulder. "Though I'd reconsider that weapon if I were you." A gunshot cracked through the chamber. The plasma blade clattered to the floor, neatly severed at the hilt. Crocs staggered back, clutching his stinging hand. No one had seen the shooter. Velas's neural implant pinged frantically. "There are no other human life signs in this complex," she whispered, her crest feathers standing rigid. Elias chuckled, the sound incongruously warm. "Oh, Ambassador, if we didn't want to be seen." He tapped his wrist display, and a massive viewport shimmered to life, revealing the Federation fleet outside. Or rather, what remained of it. Every Zorati ship hung motionless, its running lights dark. The Draxian battleships listed aimlessly, their engines dead. Only the human vessels remained operational, their silver eagle insignias glowing ominously. "You've attacked Federation vessels." Velas's voice trembled as her implant calculated the implications. "Escorted them back to neutral space," Elias corrected mildly. He nodded toward a shadowed alcove where a human figure materialized as if stepping through a veil, a young woman in matte black armor, her rifle still smoking. Ensign Carter was just ensuring we had everyone's attention. The dark-skinned operative grinned, her teeth startlingly white. "Worth like a charm, sir." Crocs snarled, his remaining claws flexing. "The Draxian Empire will reduce your homeworld to ash for this insult." Elias's smile finally faded, replaced by something colder. "Actually, Commander, you'll be the one paying." He tapped his display again, showing security footage of Draxian scouts breaching the Sol quarantine. "Your ships violated marked borders 3 times last week alone." His gray eyes hardened. "We have rules for a reason." The station shuddered violently. New alarms blared as the viewport display switched to an external feed. A massive Draxian war fleet dropped out of hyperspace, weapons glowing hot. Crocs' laughter boomed through the chamber. "My reinforcements arrive." Elias checked his chronometer. "Right on schedule." He tapped his comm badge. "All stations, condition amber. Execute pattern gamma." Velas watched in horror as the human captain's smile returned, wider than ever. That's when realization struck. This wasn't a diplomatic incident. It was a trap, and they'd all walked right into it. Outside the viewport, space itself seemed to ripple as hundreds of previously invisible human warships decloaked simultaneously, their railguns trained on the Draxian fleet. Each vessel bore the same silver eagle insignia that now glowed brightly on Elias's uniform. Ensign Carter chuckled darkly as she reloaded her rifle. "Welcome to humanity's neighborhood." Chapter 3. The arena's twin suns beat down mercilessly as Celine circled Marcus, her remaining dagger glinting in the harsh light. Sweat trickled down her temples, staining the silver markings on her cheeks. The crowd's roar had faded to a tense murmur. No one had ever survived this long against the infamous Collector. Marcus stood relaxed, his stance deceptively casual. Blood dripped from a shallow cut on his forearm where her blade had grazed him earlier. "You're slowing down," he observed, his voice carrying easily over the sand. "Anger makes you sloppy." Celine bared her teeth in a feral grin. "And arrogance makes you dead." She feinted left, then launched into a spinning kick aimed at his ribs. Marcus caught her ankle midair with terrifying ease, using her momentum to send her rolling across the arena floor. Sand clung to her sleek combat suit as she scrambled up. "Telegraph that one too," he said, shaking his head. "You Zorathians always lead with your hips." A ripple of laughter spread through the human contingent in the stands. Celine's face burned hotter than the suns above. She'd reduced seasoned warriors to begging wrecks. Yet this man treated her like a misbehaving cadet. Her dagger hand trembled slightly as she adjusted her grip. "What are you?" "Disappointed," Marcus replied, his brown eyes locking onto hers. "I heard the Collector was the best. but you're just another fighter who never learned the difference between violence and skill. The insult cut deeper than any blade. Celine lunged again, this time channeling all her fury into a killing strike aimed at his throat. Marcus moved like a liquid shadow. His forearm blocked her strike, while his other hand chopped precisely at her wrist. A sharp pain shot up her arm as her dagger flew from nerveless fingers, embedding itself in the arena wall. The crowd gasped as one. Never in 73 victories had Celine been disarmed. She backed away, breathing hard, her mind racing. This wasn't supposed to happen. The human should be bleeding out by now. Another notch on her belt. Another trophy to prove. Marcus didn't press his advantage. He simply stood there, waiting. "You're better than this," he said quietly. "I've seen your fight vids. The precision in your 7th kill. The footwork against the crawl champion." His head tilted. What happened? Celine's breath caught. No one had ever studied her techniques like this. No one cared enough. The arena medic's horn sounded, signaling the traditional mid-duel pause. Celine turned automatically toward her corner, then froze. Her usual attendant wasn't there, just a young human medic with a red cross on his vest. Marcus wiped sweat from his brow. "Take the break. Catch your breath." "I don't need your pity," she spat. "It's not pity." Marcus nodded toward the medic. "It's sportsmanship." As she stalked to the corner, Celine realized with dawning horror that her hands were shaking. Not from exhaustion, from fear. For the first time in her bloody career, Celine Vex faced an opponent who didn't fear her. And that terrified her more than any blade ever could. Chapter 4. The medic's hands trembled as he offered Celine a water pouch. She knocked it aside, sending liquid splashing across the sand. "Get away from me," she snarled, her silver-tinted skin flushed dark with anger. The young human scrambled back, nearly tripping over his own feet. From across the arena, Marcus watched, his arms crossed. He hadn't even taken water. Didn't need it. The horn sounded again, signaling the fight's resumption. Celine rolled her shoulders, feeling the familiar weight of her missing daggers. No matter. She'd killed with her bare hands before. Marcus remained still as she approached. "You're not even breathing hard," she accused. He shrugged. "You're not trying hard." The insult burned worse than the twin suns overhead. Celine launched into a flurry of strikes. Elbows, knees, the razor-sharp claws retracted from her gauntlets. Each move is precise. Each deadly. Marcus flowed around her attacks like water, his blocks so minimal they seemed accidental. "You're holding back," she panted after a particularly vicious combo, found only air. Marcus caught her wrist mid-strike, his grip firm but not crushing. "And you're fighting the wrong battle." She wrenched free, spinning away. What's that supposed to mean? Instead of answering, Marcus did something unprecedented. He dropped his guard completely, hands at his sides. The crowd gasped. "First lesson," he said calmly. "Stop trying to kill me." Celine froze. This had to be a trick. "I'll carve your no." Marcus's voice cut like steel. "You won't. Because you're not a murderer, Celine. You're a fighter who forgot why she fights." Her breath hitched. No one used her given name in the arena. Not since. Memories flashed. Her first mentor's voice, the sting of betrayal, the weight of that first trophy taken not from an enemy, but from the only person who'd ever believed in her. Marcus saw the moment her resolve wavered. His voice softened. "Second lesson. Real strength isn't in taking trophies. It's in walking away." The crowd began booing, throwing debris into the pit. They wanted blood. Expected it. Celine's claws retracted with a click. "They'll kill us both if I walk away." Marcus finally smiled. Not the cocky grin from before, but something quieter. "Third lesson. Never worry about spectators." He nodded toward the arena gates. Celine turned just as the massive doors exploded inward. Human peacekeepers in tactical armor poured through, stunning the bloodthirsty crowd with non-lethal pulses. Marcus stretched his arms overhead casually. Took them long enough. Celine stared at him, realization dawning. This was never a real match. Course not. Marcus plucked her lost dagger from the wall and offered it hilt first. "We don't fight for trophies where I come from. We fight to bring warriors home." The blade trembled in Celine's grip. For the first time in years, she saw it not as a tool for taking, but as a weight she no longer had to carry. Outside the arena, the sky burned crimson with sunset, or perhaps warning flares. Either way, Celine understood now. The real fight was just beginning. Chapter 5. The arena's emergency sirens wailed as smoke billowed through the shattered gates. Celine gripped her recovered dagger, her silver-tipped claws extending reflexively. "You planned this invasion?" she hissed at Marcus. He shook his head, pulling a compact pulse pistol from his boot. "Not an invasion, an extraction." His eyes locked onto hers. "Yours." Celine stumbled back as human shock troops formed a protective perimeter around them. Why would humans care about a Zorathian gladiator? Marcus ducked as a piece of debris sailed overhead. "Because you're not just a gladiator." He tapped his wrist comm, projecting a hologram between them. Security footage of a younger Celine in military garb, receiving medals from the Zorathian High Command. Comanda Zelina Vex decoratet vahiro. Presumed dead 3 years ago after refusing to massacre civilians on Kelmar Prime. The memory hit like a plasma bolt. The orders. The screaming children. Her refusal. They said I'd be executed. Instead, they sold you to the arena. Marcus finished, his voice grim. Made you their monster to cover their crimes. He grabbed her arm as a ceiling beam crashed nearby. "Now come on. Your old commanders are panicking. That's why they sent their best assassin to kill you today." Celine's blood ran cold. "The medic." Marcus nodded sharply. "Poison in the water pouch. Classic." He tossed her a fresh blade from his belt. "Still think this is about trophies?" They moved as one toward the exit, Marcus covering their retreat with precise pulse shots. Celine fell into formation beside him automatically, her military instincts resurfacing after years buried under arena brutality. "You fight like Black Star operatives," she observed as they cleared a choke point. Marcus flashed that infuriating grin. "Because we are." The revelation should have shocked her. The Black Stars were legend, elite human spec ops who moved unseen through the galaxy. But somehow, it made perfect sense. A squad of Zorathian enforcers blocked their path to the extraction ship. Celine bared her teeth, raising her blades. Marcus caught her wrist. No trophies this time. She met his gaze, then nodded. Together they charged, moving in perfect sync. Celine disarmed the first guard with a wrist lock she hadn't used since her military days. Marcus incapacitated 2 more with nerve strikes. As they reached the ship's ramp, a shot rang out. Celine spun to see the young medic aiming a smoking pistol. Before she could react, Marcus tackled her, taking the hit in his shoulder. Celine's vision went red. She moved faster than thought, her dagger finding the assassin's throat. The would-be killer gurgled, collapsing. Marcus groaned, clutching his bleeding shoulder. "Told you no trophies." Celine hauled him aboard as the ship's engines roared to life. "Shut up, human." Her hands trembled as she applied pressure to his wound. "You still owe me that 3rd lesson." As the ship launched into the crimson sky, Celine realized something terrifying. For the first time in years, she cared whether someone lived or died. And that changed everything. Chapter 6. The Black Star extraction ship shuddered as it broke atmosphere, its stealth systems engaging with a low hum. Celine pressed a med patch against Marcus's bleeding shoulder, her claws retracting to avoid causing more damage. The human's face was pale, but his breathing remained steady. "You took a shot meant for me," she muttered, her silver-tinted skin flushed with confusion. "What?" Marcus winced as the nanite gel sealed his wound. "Bad math. 1 dead human versus 1 live Zorathian who can expose a war crime? Easy choice." The ship's AI chimed. "Incoming transmission. Encrypted Zorathian military frequency." Celine's body tensed instinctively. "It's them." Marcus sat up with a grunt and activated the comm. A hologram flickered to life. Admiral Vexus, her former commander, his once handsome features now twisted with rage. "Traitor!" Vexus spat. "You were supposed to die forgotten in that arena." Celine's claws extended with a metallic snick. "You sold me to the Bloodsport Syndicate after I refused your massacre orders." Marcus tapped his wrist comm, projecting damning footage. Kelmar Prime civilian shelters burning, Zarathian troops firing on unarmed families. We got the evidence now, Admiral. The whole galaxy will see what you did. Vexus's hologram flickered as he turned to an unseen aide. Scramble the interceptors. Destroy that ship. The transmission cut out. Warning alarms blared as the ship's sensors detected 5 Zarathian fighters closing fast. Marcus strapped into the co-pilot's seat. Time to go, Commander. Celine hesitated. That title died when my own people betrayed me. Marcus threw her a pilot's headset. Then let's resurrect it properly. The ship banked sharply as Celine took the controls, her military training flooding back. Her fingers danced across the console, evading the first missile volley with practiced ease. Missed us, Marcus noted. You're rusty. Celine bared her teeth in something almost like a smile. Watch this. She executed a suicidal dive into Zarathia's storm belt, the ship shuddering as lightning crackled across its hull. The pursuing fighters broke formation, all but one. Marcus checked the scanners. That's Vexus's personal craft. He's not letting go. Celine's hands tightened on the controls. Good. She flipped the ship into a reverse thrust maneuver no sane pilot would attempt, bringing them nose to nose with the Admiral's fighter. For a heartbeat, the two ships hung motionless in the stormlit sky. Vexus's face appeared on their view screen, his sneer visible through the cockpit glass. You don't have the nerve, Celine. Never did. Marcus calmly activated the comm, Black Star actual to all units. Execute Operation Falling Axe. Space rippled around them as a dozen human warships decloaked, their railguns locking onto the Zarathian fighter. Vexus's eyes widened in realization. You were bait. Celine leaned forward, her voice colder than the void. And you took it. She pressed the comm button one last time. This is Commander Celine Vex, transmitting evidence package Zeta-9 to all Federation channels. As the data stream uploaded, Marcus gave the order. The human ships fired as one, not at Vexus, but at his engines, crippling his fighter without killing him. Celine turned to Marcus, her claws retracting fully for the first time in years. No trophy? Marcus grinned. Better. Justice. The storm clouds parted as they broke orbit, revealing the endless starfield beyond. Celine realized with sudden clarity that she was finally free, not just from the arena, but from the ghosts of her past. And it had taken a stubborn human to show her the way. Chapter 7. The Black Star Command ship's observation deck stretched before them, its transparent walls offering an unobstructed view of the stars. Celine pressed her palms against the cool surface, watching as Zarathia shrank to a blue-green dot behind them. 3 days had passed since their escape, but the weight of her old life still clung like arena sand. Marcus approached silently, his shoulder bandaged beneath his uniform. He held out a small metal box. Thought you might want these. Celine opened it to find her collection of trophies, each cleaned and polished. Her throat tightened. You kept them. Figured that was your choice to make. Marcus leaned against the viewport, though I was hoping you'd pick option B. She raised an eyebrow. Which is? He tapped the box's interior, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside lay a single Black Star insignia, the mark of his unit. Commander Celine Vex, Black Star Operative. If you want it. The offer hung between them like a suspended blade. Celine lifted one of her old trophies, a Krell warrior's fawn. Do you know why I took these? Marcus shook his head. It started after Kelmar Prime. Her claws extended, tracing the Fong's curve. Every kill proved I was still alive, but they hadn't broken me. She met his gaze. But you already knew that. Marcus smiled. Had a hunch. Celine snapped the Fong in half, then did the same with each trophy until only dust remained. She took the insignia pin and fastened it to her chest where her arena crest had been. Trophies are for hunters. She straightened. I'm a soldier again. The ship's comm crackled. Captain Kane? Transmission coming through. Federation High Council. The view screen activated, displaying a gathering of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. At the center stood Admiral Vexus in restraints, his once proud uniform stripped of rank insignia. The Zithian Prime Minister spoke first. Commander Vex, Your evidence has upended our governments. The Kelmar massacre, the arena's slavery, we were blind. Marcus crossed his arms. Or willfully ignorant. The minister flinched. Justice will be served. But we must discuss your new allies. His compound eyes focused on Celine's Black Star insignia. The human shadow forces are saviors, Celine interrupted. Her voice carried the steel of command she thought she'd lost. They expose corruption your oversight committees missed for years. She stepped forward. And if the Federation wants my testimony, you'll recognize Black Star operations as legitimate peacekeeping forces. The council members erupted in protest until Marcus tapped his wristcom. The stars outside the viewport shimmered as the full Black Star fleet decloaked, hundreds of advanced warships appearing silently around the command vessel. The protests died instantly. Celine smirked. Thought that might get your attention. As the transmission ended, Marcus exhaled sharply. Well, that's one way to introduce yourself. Celine studied her reflection in the viewport. The silver markings on her cheeks, the Black Star on her chest. Not a gladiator, not a monster. A warrior with a purpose again. She turned to Marcus. You never answered my question. Why risk everything for me? Marcus gazed at the stars. Because someone once did the same for me. He met her eyes. And because the galaxy needs more warriors who remember mercy matters as much as strength. Outside, the ship passed through a nebula, its colorful gases swirling around them like a promise. Celine realized she wasn't just free of her past now. She was stepping into a future she'd never dared imagine. And for the first time in years, she didn't need trophies to prove she was alive. The look in Marcus's eyes as he smiled at her was proof enough. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.